Have you ever gone for a routine blood test, thinking it's just another box to check, only to get a result that leaves you worried, confused, or even sent home with medication you never needed?
Here's the truth. A simple blood test, something you've probably done dozens of times, can be thrown completely off by just a few small habits before your appointment. And the worrying part? Almost every senior makes at least one of these mistakes. Research from Harvard Medical School, Mayo Clinic, and the Journal of Clinical Chemistry shows these errors can lead to misdiagnosis, unnecessary prescriptions, or missing a serious condition altogether. In fact, a 2023 Journal of Clinical Pathology study found that 48% of senior blood panels contained false readings due to pre-test behavior. So today, I'll take you through the 10 most common mistakes, starting with number 10. And trust me, even a single one could make your results dangerously misleading. Mistake number 10. Not drinking enough water before a fasting blood test. Think back to the last time you went for a fasting blood test. Did you drink any water beforehand? Many people skip it because they believe water will break their fast. But in reality, skipping water could make your results dangerously inaccurate. When your body is dehydrated, your blood becomes more concentrated, a process called hemoconcentration. This can make your red blood cells, white blood cells, platelets, and electrolytes appear higher than they actually are. A 2018 study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that simply not drinking water before a fasting blood draw could raise hemoglobin levels by up to 10%, enough to mislead a doctor into thinking you have anemia, inflammation, or early-stage kidney disease. In many cases, BUN levels may rise so much that it could suggest stage 2-3 chronic kidney disease, even if your kidneys are perfectly healthy. The solution is simple. Unless your doctor tells you otherwise, drink 1 to 2 glasses of water about an hour before your blood test. Water won't break your fast, but it will make the blood draw easier and help prevent clotting in the test tube. Mistake number 9. Taking supplements before your blood test. Let me ask you, do you take your morning vitamins before heading to a blood test? Many people do it out of habit, but here's the catch. Those supplements can seriously distort your results. For example, vitamin C might sound harmless, but studies show it can lower your creatinine levels by 12 to 18%. That's enough to hide early signs of kidney tray from your doctor. Iron supplements? They can raise your ferritin and serum iron levels so much that it could look like you have iron overload, a condition that can damage your heart and liver if misdiagnosed. Even biotin, often found in hair, skin, and nail supplements, can throw off your thyroid readings, leading to unnecessary treatment or missed warning signs. And fish oil? It can temporarily affect certain lipid readings, making your cholesterol numbers look better or worse than they really are. The fix is simple. Unless your doctor tells you otherwise, skip all supplements for at least 24 hours before your test. And if you did take them, be upfront with the lab technician. It could help your doctor interpret your results correctly. Sometimes, the smallest detail you share can make the biggest difference in protecting your health.
Mistake number 8. Drinking coffee or tea before a fasting blood test. Let's be honest. For many of us, the day doesn't start until we've had that first cup of coffee or tea. But if you're heading in for a fasting blood test, even black coffee or plain tea can quietly throw off your results. And yes, this includes skipping the cream and sugar. The caffeine itself is the problem. Here's why. Caffeine stimulates the release of cortisol and adrenaline, 2 hormones that naturally raise your blood sugar. A 2022 meta-analysis found that just 100 milligrams of caffeine before a test, that's about 1 small cup of coffee, can push your glucose readings up by 8 to 10 milligrams per deciliter. That might not sound like much, but in borderline cases it could shift you from normal to pre-diabetic on paper. Tea has its own issue. Certain compounds can temporarily affect how your platelets function, which may impact clotting-related tests. The solution is straightforward but not always easy. For 8 to 12 hours before a fasting blood test, stick to plain water only. No coffee, no tea, no just a sip. If you absolutely can't skip your morning caffeine, talk to your doctor about whether your test can be scheduled later in the day. But for most people, a caffeine-free morning is the safest route to an accurate result. Mistake number 7. Skipping medications without approval. Let's talk about a mistake that can quietly sabotage your blood test, and it's one I've seen even the most health-conscious people make. It's skipping your prescribed medications before the test, without your doctor's approval. I know the thinking. If I stop my pills for a day, the test will show my real numbers. But here's the catch. Those numbers without your meds aren't your real baseline. They're your body under stress, and the results can be dangerously misleading. For example, skipping blood pressure meds can cause a spike that has your doctor adjusting your prescription unnecessarily. Stopping metformin, even for a single day, can raise blood sugar enough to trigger a diabetes reclassification. And beta blockers? Missing even one dose can distort heart rate and cardiac enzyme readings. A 2021 study in the Journal of Janual Internal Medicine found that 1 in 5 seniors had abnormal results simply because they skipped their usual medications before the test. That's not just wasted time and money, it's risking a wrong diagnosis or unnecessary treatment. The fix is simple. Unless your doctor tells you otherwise, always take your regular maintenance meds before a blood test. And bring a complete list of everything you take: prescriptions, over-the-counter drugs, supplements, so the lab and your doctor know exactly what's in your system when the blood is drawn. Mistake number 6. Exercising before your blood test. Think about this. You've been told to fast before your blood test, so you skip breakfast. But then you decide to make the most of the morning and take a brisk walk or do a quick round of yoga. It seems harmless, right? In reality, even light exercise before a fasting blood test can completely change your numbers. Here's why. When you move, your muscles demand more energy, pulling glucose from your bloodstream and triggering your body to release stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. This can cause your blood sugar to spike by 12 to 20 milligrams per deciliter, even if you haven't eaten. And it can raise inflammation markers like C-reactive protein, CRP, by as much as 40%. That's enough to make it look like you have inflammation or even an infection you don't actually have. A 2019 study in the European Journal of Applied Physiology proved it. Just 30 minutes of walking before a test can create these false elevations. For someone whose results are already borderline, this could mean unnecessary scans, extra medications, or more blood draws. The solution? Rest the night before and the morning of your test. Avoid exercise, even light activity, for at least 12 hours, unless your doctor specifically says it's required. And hydrate well, so your blood flows easily and your results reflect your true baseline health. Mistake number 5. Fasting too long.
Let me ask you this. When your doctor tells you to fast before a blood test, do you ever think, well, if 12 hours is good, maybe 14 or 15 is even better? I've heard that from so many seniors, and honestly, it sounds logical, until you see what it actually does to your results. When you go beyond 13 hours without food, your body starts shifting gears. Blood sugar can creep up instead of down, sometimes rising as much as 22%, according to a 2020 Journal of Gerontology, Medical Sciences study. Your cholesterol profile can also worsen temporarily, and you may feel lightheaded or even faint when it's time for the draw. I once met a man named Richard who decided to play it safe and fast for nearly 16 hours before his test. The result? His glucose came back borderline diabetic, even though his follow-up test, done the right way, was completely normal. That extra long fast had tricked the numbers. Here's the sweet spot. Aim for 8 to 12 hours of fasting, no more, no less, unless your doctor specifically advises otherwise. And yes, water is not only allowed, it's recommended. That balance helps your test reflect your real health, not a distorted picture caused by overdoing it.
Mistake number 4. Not disclosing recent illness.
Let's talk about something almost nobody thinks about before a blood test. but it can throw your results way off, not telling your doctor or the lab about a recent illness. Even if you feel fine now, your body might still be recovering from an infection you had days or even weeks ago. A 2019 study in the Annals of Internal Medicine found that just 5 days after a viral infection, white blood cells could still be 30% higher, and inflammation markers like CRP could be up by 40%. Liver enzymes can stay elevated long after symptoms are gone. Now imagine this. You had a mild flu last week, but today you're at the lab for a routine test. Your results come back and your doctor sees high WBC and CRP. Without knowing you were sick, they might suspect a hidden infection, an inflammatory disorder, or even liver trouble, all because your body is still in healing mode. That's why it's crucial to mention any recent illness, fever, infection, or even new medications you've taken in the last few weeks. This small step gives your doctor the full picture, so they can tell the difference between a genuine problem and your body's normal recovery process. So before your next test, ask yourself, has my body been fighting something lately? If yes, speak up. It could save you from unnecessary worry and unnecessary treatment.
Mistake number 3. Wrong time of day for your blood test. Here's something that surprises a lot of people. The time of day you get your blood drawn can change your results just as much as what you eat or drink beforehand. That's because your body's chemistry isn't fixed, it runs on a rhythm. Hormones, lipids, even the levels of certain medications in your bloodstream rise and fall throughout the day. Take cortisol, for example, your stress hormone. A 2022 study in the British Journal of Endocrinology and Metabolism found that by 4 p.m., the average cortisol reading was 60% lower than it was at 8 a.m. That's a huge difference, and if your doctor is trying to evaluate adrenal health or inflammation, it could lead them down the wrong path entirely. The same goes for cholesterol and triglycerides, which tend to climb later in the day, and certain prescription drugs that can peak or fade depending on when you last took them. That's why, unless your doctor gives you specific instructions otherwise, the sweet spot for most blood work is between 7 a.m. and 9 a.m., ideally after a standard overnight fast. And while you're at it, always jot down the time you had your last meal or took your medication. That little detail can give your doctor crucial context. So, before you schedule your next test, ask yourself, am I setting myself up for the most accurate snapshot of my health? Sometimes simply choosing the right hour can make all the difference. Mistake number 2. Not disclosing over-the-counter medications or herbal products. You might think that only prescription drugs matter when it comes to blood tests, but over-the-counter medications, and even natural herbal products, can change your results more than you realize. The truth is, your blood chemistry responds to almost anything you put in your body. Take ibuprofen, for example. A 2021 study in the American Journal of Therapeutics found that 33% of seniors who took ibuprofen within 24 hours before a blood test showed creatinine levels 10% higher than normal. That's enough to make a healthy kidney look like it's in trouble. Aspirin can thin your blood and alter clotting times. Herbal teas with ingredients like hibiscus can lower blood pressure readings. Ginseng can spike blood sugar. Turmeric can affect liver enzymes, and fish oil or garlic supplements can change platelet function, sometimes making you look at risk for bleeding disorders. The solution? Before any test, tell your doctor or lab technician everything you've taken in the past 72 hours. Not just prescription medications, but also vitamins, herbal teas, supplements, ointments, or topical creams. Even if it seems harmless, it could be the missing piece that explains an odd result. So, next time you go in for a blood draw, remember, your doctor isn't just testing your blood, they're interpreting your story. And every detail you give them helps make that story accurate. Mistake number 1. Assuming all labs use the same reference ranges. Here's something that catches even experienced patients off guard. Not every medical lab uses the same normal range for blood tests. In fact, those ranges can vary by as much as 40% depending on the lab's equipment, calibration methods, or even the population they use as a reference.
Let's take thyroid health as an example. The TSH range, that's the marker doctors often use to check thyroid function, might be 0.4 to 4.0 at one lab, but 0.5 to 5.0 at another. If you bounce between labs, you could be told you have borderline hypothyroidism in one place and that you're completely fine in another. The same goes for LDL cholesterol, where a few points of difference could shift you from a safe category into high-risk territory, or vice versa. This inconsistency doesn't mean labs are wrong. It means they're not all speaking the exact same language. That's why, whenever possible, you should stick with the same lab for routine tests. It gives your doctor a consistent measuring stick over time, so they can spot real trends instead of chasing misleading fluctuations. And here's a pro tip. Keep a personal health record with all your past results, date, time, and the lab that processed them. That way, if a new result looks suspiciously different, you'll have the context to question it. Because sometimes, the difference isn't in your body, it's in where your blood was sent.
So, here's the big takeaway. Getting accurate blood test results isn't just about showing up at the lab, it's about how you prepare and how openly you communicate with your healthcare team. Every small step we talked about today, from drinking water before a fasting test to telling your doctor about the supplements you take, can make the difference between a false alarm and a clear, accurate picture of your health. Now, I want to hear from you. Which of these mistakes surprised you the most? Have you ever made one without realizing it? Maybe you learned a lesson the hard way, or maybe you've got a tip that could help someone else avoid a scare. Share your story in the comments below. You never know, your experience might be exactly what another person needs to hear to protect their health. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss more life-changing health tips.
Thanks for watching.